Didn't mean to do that. All right. Cooking quests. Learning all of the recipes. Because the more you learn, the better you are. Whoa! Samadan, 104 viewers? Whoa, dude. Holy smokes.
Hey there. Have a good one.
Whoa. Holy smokes, guys. I'm gonna get bombed by you guys. Awesome. Wow, thank you for all the follows. So what I'm doing right now is I am collecting the Cataclysm recipes for cooking, because the more you know, the better you are, right? Okay, so I've got 3 of those. Can I learn this one? Yes, could be learned by me. Yes. Let's learn this espresso. And who am I? Well, I'm a gold maker. You've probably seen me in the WoW Economy Discord and Reddit. I specialize in crafting, which is why I'm collecting all these recipes. Speaking of which, so I just learned the espresso, so I need to pop open TSM so it actually knows the crafting cost. There we go. TSM has learned this. Have a great night, Mr. Samadan. Sleep well. Hug the wife and the cats and everybody else. Thank you for the entertaining stream, as always. And thanks for bringing the raid. So, all right, so I've just done the Stormwind cooking daily. I'm going to do the Old Dalaran, so the Wrath Dalaran one as well, for the same reason. What's my gold for just rough, to get an idea of my scale? Okay. Well, Drizzling Rose, let's pull up the all. And you see the large plummet here. This was the Brutosaur, of course, because nothing else plummets like that. And then I've been rebuilding since, although those of you who saw me chatting a couple of weeks on Samadan's stream know that I had to step away from the game for quite some time. So that's why you see this almost flat line. Well, I didn't pull it up there. I didn't zoom it correctly. Where is it? Is it here? Yeah, I think it's here. Yeah, this more or less flat line. I was having internet issues. I could barely log into the game. Then there were personal and family issues and everything like that. So from December, basically clear through to almost April, I couldn't do anything with the game, let alone make any gold. But if I say select the last 3 months, so that's May. Let's start in April. So there was still a little bit of a flat line because I also moved. But then when I got back into the game in my new place, stable internet, everything like that, then you start seeing all these climbing things. So that's what's going on there, Drizzling Rose. My graph be going up. Have I named my Brutosaur? No, I have not. In fact, I keep forgetting that you can name mounts. I know you can name pets, like the non-combat pets, but I haven't. So this is my inbox so far today. So another 4,000 gold. And I'm going to do the Dalaran cooking. Wow, more follows. Thank you very much, guys. This is awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to do the Dalaran cooking because I need more of those, what are they called, Epicurean rewards, because I still haven't got all of the recipes. I've been focusing on the Cataclysm recipes, and then I will go back and learn the Wrath cooking ones. Once I'm done that, then those are done, and then it's back to rep grinding. Now, I also am trying to work on this higher learning here, so I'm going to briefly pop over and see if I can find any books, because that takes seconds. Nope, I have that one. That one's just somebody's journal. And this isn't going to take very long. I've got most of the books already. That one is... oh, it's upstairs. Ha ha ha. Because the rule of the game, guys... needs to be read. Yay! The rule of the game, guys, if you are crafting, learn recipes. Whether they're secondary skills like cooking or primary skills or whatever you're doing, the more you learn, the better you are off. Oh, no book there, and I think the last book is upstairs. Like I said, this isn't going to take long. Okay, so Drizzling Rose is asking, a life hack is to do one time walking dungeon every time the event is up. The first end boss per turn walking week gives 500 time walking points. Yep. Then on the Wrath time walking, you can buy the cooking bag to get 1 to 2 Epicurean rewards per bag. It's a super low effort to get things like the chef hat. So I already have the chef hat. You can see the buff here, but good point. I completely forget sometimes that you can get that sort of thing with time walking. All right, so no more books. Let's switch to Dalaran Cooking Guide. Gotta love demon hunters. Just float over everything. Don't care. Okay, so Drizzling Rose adds that, yes, her 49 alts, 50 characters. You are truly a goblin, Drizzling Rose. Okay, so 49 alts, mainly with time walking dungeons, because then their gear doesn't matter. Oh yeah.
You need something?
So, Drizzling Rose, you better have every profession. Okay, so I gotta get meatloaf.
Safe travels.
And I think that is going to require me to get chilled meat, and I might actually have some of those in the auction house. I'll check. If you're curious why my rep bar keeps switching depending on where I am, that's an add-on called Rep by Zone, and I write it. I'm currently adding data. I've got as far as Wrath, and so Vanilla, Burning Crusade, Wrath, but I also have BFA and Shadowlands. It's the other expansions that I'm working on to add data. Here, mushroom, mushroom, mushroom. "50 garrisons and like 45 inscribers and 40 tailors." Drizzling Rose, like I said, you young miss, you are a goblin. You qualify. Any more? You love gold. What can you say? Hey, it's the name of the game sometimes. I mean, to be honest, even if you're not a crazy gold goblin kind of person and you're not after, say, dirty herby levels of gold or Hickons or Vadis or whatever, and you're like me and you have, 800 and some odd thousand gold, that's usually more than most people need, simply because, it more than buys tokens and things like that to pay for your gold time. Yeah, I could pop back out, but the exit is just right over here. You don't have to be a super goblin to need gold. I mean, the whole game is based around gold.
At least 2 centuries old.
I do not actually have any chilled meat. Interesting, I thought I did. How much is it? Holy smokes, it's only a gold. And how many I need? I need 2. Instead of trying to find them, I'm just gonna buy these.
If you find anything exotic, bring it.
Not the most efficient way, but they were super cheap. Alright. Yay! I'm kind of like Samadan, actually. I like having that cooking buff going all the time.
King's honor, friend.
So that's going to give me 1, and the small spice bag is going to give me another 1, along with some northern spices. Alright, so now that that's done, and I do not have more dailies. I'm long since done the Shattrath ones, I don't need to do those anymore. I've got all the recipes that are possible. So let's show you what I do typically. Before I pull up the groups, you've probably seen me doing how to make crafting profitable. So putting my money where my mouth is. Let's look at operations. And the make one, those are typically things that have cooldowns, like daily cooldowns. So rank 1 generic, rank 3 base, that's for Legion Alchemy. Rank 3 Silas, that's Silas Alchemy. And then the same thing with these. So they're making 20% DB region sold per day. So let's quickly take a look at that one. So what I'm doing here is I'm telling TSM when I restock, make at least one up to 20% of the region sold per day, and the same. And the reason why the min and the max are the same is because I only like restocking things when I am sold out. So the min, if I change this to restock 1 or 5 or whatever it is, I would typically never run out of stock, and so I would constantly be buying materials for items that may or may not sell. That's why I don't like doing that. I have things set up the same. And then my min craft profit, I'll show you that in a second. And then I've modified the craft value, which is not to be confused with the price value crafting. This is the value a crafted item is worth at the auction house. And if you guys remember, the default is just first DB min buyout, DB market, and recently, the last couple of months, they added the times 0.95 for the auction house 5% cut. But a lot of the things that I make haven't been seen on my auction house in longer than 14 days. So I added in order the region market average, so still 14 days, but region-wide, US in my case. And then I switched back to my realms historical, which is 60 days, and then the region historical, which is also 60 days. So that is why I have made those changes. Anything that hasn't been sold in 60 days, either on my local realm or the region, probably should not be made. Okay, drizzling rose. Let's go back. Darkwing Agent says that Drizzling Rose loves ducks too, and pandas. All right, yeah, ducks and pandas. Ducks are awesome to eat. Shh. Drizzling Rose adds, yeah, after the Brutosaur, she went on all items in the Heroes of the Storm with her goal. 3 years later and 32 million gold spent, she got all of the items. Oop. And a lot of things just popped way out of those. Oh. That was just the bot. I'm sorry, Drizzling Rose. I was right in the middle of reading that. Anyway, but that's why I set up a crafting operation this way. So now you need to know what min craft profit is. So if I go to settings and I go to custom sources, min craft profit, let's pull this up so you can actually read it. So what this says is if equal to or greater than the region sale rate first, the region sale rate, because that's more accurate. If there is no sale rate across the region, then use whatever is higher, my personal sale rate or 0.01. So I compare this max sale rate 0.01 with the DB region sale rate and take whichever one of those two is first and valid. And if that, whatever that sale rate is, let's click off that. If it is under 0.10 or 10% chance to sell the item, then my profit is 10% crafting. If this is, if it's equal to or greater than 0.1. So like if there's a 10% chance of selling it or more, then 10% crafting. But if it's under 10% chance to sell, then I'm using 20% as my crafting profit. In other words, for the things that only have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. to 9% chance of selling, I want a higher buffer in terms of my profit because I'll have to cancel and relist those auctions over and over again. So I want more buffer. So that's how that is set up. A lot of these other custom crafting sources I no longer use, but didn't want to get rid of them. They're a lot of Warlords of Draenor type stuff. So I wanted to keep it. And then the deposit fees, I need to correct this, but this comes from Bill Zanixia's Twitter account to show you the estimated amount of deposit fees you would need to spend over time before an auction sells. And I have a typo in this, so I need to correct it. This over time deposit fees really is only good for tooltip information. Yeah, so how do you spell it? Dilfana? Is that, I hope I read that right. Dilfana? That says, based on what I'm explaining, that's a really good solve for the reposting costs. Yes, yep, I totally agree. So that's my min profit, and then, of course, go back to here, and so here's the crafting operation again. So basically, if the sale rate is 10% or higher, then a minimum amount of profit would be 10% because I'm much more likely to sell the item. If the item is under 10% chance to sell, then it's 20% minimum profit. And then, of course, that gets us to auctioning operations. And for those of you who have been following me on Reddit with the how to make things profitable for crafting, we'll get there. I haven't covered it yet. I will. But I have to start at the basics. So the last time you guys read anything, I was covering the default auction operation. I'm not finished with that. There are still settings and gizmos and options that I need to explain for people. once the default operation is fully explained and documented, then I will show how to write custom stuff. But for those of you here on stream, you're going to get a preview. Yes! All right. So, general, this is my all-purpose auctioning operation. Obviously, it's retail, so a lot of the features and menu options that you would see in Classic and Burning Crusade Classic simply don't exist, or they're radically different. You'd have to adapt if you're playing those kinds of games. So, general, I ignore all of my competition whose auctions are expiring in 2 hours or less. They are not my competition anymore, because even if those auctions sell, then they're gone. If they expire, then they're gone. Why do I compete with those? No reason, so I ignore them. So I don't ignore it on any groups or operations. So posting, and before I get into this, Drizzling Rose, Ilanith, Ilianith 21? I hope I read that correct. Says, wow, hopefully you're learning something here. Drizzling Rose says, it's cool about the bot. Again, I apologize. She tends to restock about half a year to a year at a time because she crafts with WAD stuff. Delphana says that's a really good solve. We covered that one. Alana says that's handy. Delphana agrees. Delphana goes on say, I really wish that you could use capitals and numbers in custom sources. Well, TradeSkillMaster doesn't care about capitalization. I agree that capitalization makes things more readable. It would be nice. I have never tried numbers, but I think I mean, maybe you have and you can add in chat, but if you wrote something like my custom price 2, like the number 2, that might work. Somebody would have to tell me. I've never done that because I don't have the same customer sources twice with a slight variation. Elitas, yeah, those Reddit posts are awesome. Thanks. You're welcome. That's why I write them. I haven't, and then Delphana adds, I haven't even considered the ignore auctions setting. Need to start using it. You don't have to. It's my choice, but I figured those guys are not my competition. Ellie Lace. Ellie Lace? Is that how you pronounce it? Okay, thanks, Drizzling Rose. Ellie Lace. It's like Elliot, but with an A. Oh, that is going to mess me up. Yeah, okay, so you guys are agreeing numbers do not work in the names of custom price sources. Okay, all right. Delphana says it would be much easier to read the names like, and then she's writing capitalization, my, capital C, custom, capital P, price 2, etc., etc. Right, so camel case or title case definitely would be much more reasonable or readable, and you'll see that here in a second here, because that's exactly what I do with my auction operations, because I totally agree with you. It's much easier to read. Oh, wow. No, I am going to butcher it. I'm so sorry. She tried to make a custom price source for CM2, like the number 2, and had to use II instead. So yeah, numbers do not work in the names for custom price sources. Interesting. Or write TWO20 for 2. Um, Delphana says, yes, I have two. I've been handling it manually, so about ignoring things. So let's go back to posting. Again, this is retail, so the options are different. I like posting in 12-hour increments simply because if something has to be canceled and relisted, I pay less uh, uh, relisting fees because the relist fee for retail is 15% of vendor sell for every 12 hours. So 12 hours is 15% vendor sell, 24 hours is 30% vendor sell, and 48 hours is 60% vendor sell. Now, if you're willing to eat those prices or you are not canceling very often, you have things like BOAs or something like that, or pets or mounts or things that don't have high turnaround, and you're willing to soak that, then by all means, change the auction operation duration longer. But for me, I just found here on Lightbringer, there's enough churn through the auction house, and I have to cancel or things expire soon enough that I don't want to be paying 60% vendor sell. I want to pay 15%, so I'm choosing 12. I've set the post cap at 50,000. The thing to remember about Blizzard versus TSM is Blizzard will only let you auction up to 40,000 of an item in one post. Okay? TSM will let you post up to 50,000. So what will happen is, let's say you have 50,000 Peace Blue. You will post 40,000 and 10,000. That's how TSM solves that problem. I'm not keeping anything in bags. If I did, you see a keep one or a keep flask. I assign those when I'm raiding to keep those potions or flasks that I need, or Vandus runes or whatever it is. Right now in Shadowlands, I'm not raiding. My guild is, but I am not. They actually don't need tanks, and I don't have any other class or spec. And yes, I'm playing a Demon Hunter. I said that right. I don't have another spec. So I don't need to keep anything. Catching up on chat here for a second. Delphana says, underscore would work instead of camel case too. Yes, it would in fact work. Yes. She is I assume Delphana is a she. I'm sorry for that assumption. It's just the name sounds feminine to me. I have custom sources that shows me what the deposit cost is per item, stack of 10 and stack of 100. It really helps me. Yeah, the more information you have, the better. Uh, it You cannot have too much information when you're making gold. That is simply not a thing. All right. Okay. Thank you, Delphana, for confirming that you are a she. Okay. Um, let's go down here. Okay. Bid percent as percent of buyout. This is retail. So 99% of all the possible types of items that you would sell are non-consumables. So BOEs, pets, mounts, toys, etc., etc. The amount of types that are consumables or commodities is the word, is actually a very short list. So yes, there are dozens of different herbs and dozens of different of ores, but there's only ores, and there's only herbs, and there's only pigments, and there's only inks. You understand that? So it doesn't matter what the actual herbs are, they're just herbs, okay? So when you are selling non-commodities, yes, you could play around with the percent, and there actually is a trick that pretty much, at this point, it only works in Classic and Burning Crusade. It doesn't work since the 8.3 auction house revamp for retail, because even for the things where you can set a bid that is different than the buyout, people typically don't bid anymore. We've been, since 8.3, we have been trained out of this. In which case, why change the bid? Just make the bid the same as the buyout. Everybody's happy in retail. For both classic versions, however, there's a trick. If you were playing classic and you change the ooh, thanks for the subscribe, Randy Hodge. If you change the bid to 0, yes, 0, what will happen is, for things that can have a different bid than a buyout, TradeSkillMaster must, absolutely, or in legal terms, shall, it is absolutely true that TradeSkillMaster cannot post anything for lower than your minimum price, which means, for classic versions of the games, okay, good night, Drizzling Rose, sleep well. Yeah, I know you're on European time. If you set the buyout, or the percent of buyout, to 0%, that means that your bid cannot go lower than your minimum, in which case, when below minimum on Classic, if you changed it to 0%, you would probably want, when below minimum, change the menu, you would probably want to select post at normal price. That way, if people buy it out, you make a profit. If people bid, you make a profit. So tricks for Classic. That doesn't work with retail, obviously, because people don't bid anymore. So if you play Burning Crusade or OG Classic from a couple of years ago, there's a trick for you to make more sales. All right, so here's the spoiler stuff. You're gonna see this in the Reddit series eventually. Here's your preview. So my general auction, this is for most of the things. So obviously it's not for Transmute Mastery, it's not for Legion Alchemy with rank 3, it's not for BFA Alchemy rank 3 with Silas, etc., etc. This is just my all-purpose. And don't forget, TradeSkillMaster will ignore any price sources that are nil or invalid. So you're never punished for those. So what this reads is my minimum price is 150% of whatever is higher between 80% of smart average buy, which is what I paid for it. So don't forget, 150% of 80% works out to be 120%, because what's half of 80? 40. What's 80 plus 40? 120. But I want to spend or list at 150% of the destroy value, whether you shatter it, whether you disenchant it, where you mill it, whatever it is, or 150% of what the vendor will sell it or buy it from you. Then I divide that result by 0.95 to knock off the 5% cut that the auction house takes when the item sells. So then I'm going to compare that section with 110% crafting, again, divided by 0.95. There's your 5% auction house fee. Now, remember, when I'm crafting, I could potentially make stuff that has a minimum crafting profit of 20%, but when I sell it, I'm trying to go as cheaply as I can go. So that's why this is not 110/120%, because even if I make something of the 20% profit, I can sell it for 110% or 10% profit and still make money, obviously, right? Then I compare that with whatever is cheapest, 50% of my realms market or 80% of the region market average, and then I tack on the list fees for 12 hours. So that's 15% of vendor sell or 1 silver, whatever's first, and that's tacked on in the end. And then I'm ignoring any actions below minimum. I'm testing this out to see if I like it. I was using this post at minimum instead, but for now, I kind of like this. Delphine asks, do I use general with this auction operation for both crafts and gathered flipped items? Yes, except for materials. And even though a lot of materials can be crafted or even destroyed, i.e. To get a different material, I found that those values, if I use general for those, like herbs, for example, it's too high because my realm is too messed up. I need more goblins on this realm doing things the right way and correct the market. And right now, I'm not alone, but sometimes I feel alone, like I'm battling an uphill battle. So no, I don't. Not all the time. I try to. But I'll show you. Anyway, ignore auctions below minimum. It's kind of hard to explain without showing you something. But let's say that my minimum works out to 100 gold. And there are some auctions for 50 gold, which is obviously below my minimum. There are some auctions for 80 gold, which is again below my minimum. But then there are some auctions at 110 gold. So if I select ignore auctions below minimum, it's going to ignore the 50 gold and the 80 gold auctions, and it will compete with that 110 gold as the cheapest. If I switch this to post at minimum price with that same example, then again, I'm not trying to compete with the 50 or 80 gold because I can't. My minimum works out to 100, but the next step is 110. Well, instead, if I selected post at minimum, it would post at 100 because that's how my minimum works out. And that's why I'm trying this out. Ignore auctions. So then, obviously, there's nothing I could do with the 50 and the 80, and instead it would compete with the 110. And then, as you can imagine, maximum and normal are just higher amounts of minimum. And one of the big failures with a lot of people coming into the support channel when they're new and they're trying to make custom auction operations is that they forget that if your maximum or normal are equal to or lower than your minimum, TSM is going to error. So what happens is, let's say your minimum is 110% crafting. We'll just keep it simple, okay? And then your maximum would be 200% DB market. So you're not referencing crafting in maximum, but you are in minimum. And then your normal would be just DB market. Well, let's say that the crafting cost plus 10% would work out to 110 gold. So let's say the crafting cost was 100 gold, 110%, that's 110. Okay, but let's say normal at DB market was 50 gold because people are listing it below the crafting cost. Well, TSM will complain. It'll say your normal price is lower than your minimum because 50 gold, obviously, is lower than 110. And if your maximum price is 200% DB market, which would be 100 gold, well, that's still lower than 110 gold. So the problem a lot of people face is when they don't use the same price sources in every single field. That you should be consistent. You should always be using the same price sources. Increase the numbers, but you should all be using the same thing. Otherwise, you have these weird problems. And you'll notice that here at the end, the listing fees, 15%, is the same with maximum and normal as well. Well, that's because I'm auctioning at 12 hours and the list fee is always the same. It's always 15% vendor sell. So I don't and should not increase those. But at this first section, up to that point, yes, I've been increasing the numbers. So this one was 150% of that. That was 500% of this. This was 250%. Okay, so Delphana says, one interesting thing is that TSM considers minimum over normal as faulty, but normal over maximum as okay. Yes, that's true, but the reason for that is because normal, contrary to how the devs name things, actually has nothing whatsoever to do with the other two, realistically. When TradeSkillMaster sells an item, it's selling in a range between minimum and maximum. So even if your normal value works out to be somewhere in that range, it's not relevant. The range is only between minimum and maximum. Normal is only used when you are setting the price, because you have no competition for that item. So that's why normal over maximum will work. Yeah, but yes, it's a weird thing. You're right. Uh, yeah, bang on the money there, Delphana. But yes, you have to think those through. Now, um, you had asked about materials, so let's pull up my material auctioning. So again, same deal, blah blah blah, except that it's much shorter because I took out crafting, even though a lot of materials can be crafted, and I took out destroy, even though you can destroy a lot of materials. Like you can destroy herbs to get pigments, you can destroy ores to get gems, etc., etc. Um, it was just too messed up, and I was auctioning too high for a lot of items. So it kind of broke my heart, but I had to create a different auction operation just for materials, even though the materials now are listed as their own thing and not actually what they're worth. Other than that, it's the same as general. I just happen to take out those two price sources for materials. Um, I hope that, I mean, it's a short answer, but I hope that answers the question. And I'm just checking. I hope does that cover the question there, Delphana? All right, so Delphana is kind of chuckling. Yeah, she's had the same issue actually. So different operations for different for crafted and materials. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sometimes you have to because, but, well, you're gonna hear it right now, but you'll never see it in a Reddit article. But I'm gonna say it. People are stupid. They really are. Um, you can take that one to the gold bank. But that's the goblin's honest truth. People are dumb. So, ooh, I'm getting text messages. It's okay. They can hold for a little bit.
Have anything ancient to trade?
So
Seems to be
I
a busy
need
tool
to do a
century.
cancel scan. Yeah. So Eliath, I screwed up your name again. Eliath, Eliat, 21 says, yeah, people are dumb and lazy. Yep, absolutely, totally they are. Anyway, um, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to do a cancel scan as well, but I'm going to back out of
Find
this
anything
because the
exotic
next
worth
thing
mentioning.
where we started with this is opening up. Yeah, that's all the things. I have that running just because I need um, to know where some of the recipes are. So when I go crafting, so you can see Wrath of the Lich King Alchemy is highlighted. If I deselect that and select Alchemy and Cooking and restock, oh yeah, I can do a restock. Um, I'm not going to do it right this second, but yes. The point here was that I have both of these open because on this character I know alchemy and I know cooking. And I had these, you saw Wrath of the Lich King, but I will restock WAD as well. Oh, look. So I could restock these. Do these have enormous sale rates? Not really, not often, but as you can see from here, they're very profitable, and unbelievably, they sell, especially during time walking, but they will sell in other times. The point here is do not ignore your older expansions. There, so if I go back to the
Have anything ancient to
my
trade?
auctions,
Needs to be at least
you'll see
2
like
centuries old.
Adepsilon Elixir, battle potions, uh, blackmouth oil, coastal healing potions, etc. There's a bunch of Draenic stuff, old vanilla and BFA stuff. They will sell eventually, and they're usually very high profit. Like, for example, Major Frost Power. I mean, sure, it costs 114 gold to make, but it also sells for 800 gold when it sells. That's a 645 gold profit. And remembering that my crafting operation says if the sales rate is low, and you'll notice with here, there is no DB region sale rate. Hence, that min craft profit is first DB sale rate. If there is no DB region sale rate, then use whatever's higher. My own personal one, okay, I don't have one. I haven't sold this yet. So 0.01. Is 0.01 less than 10%? Absolutely. It's only 1%. So I'm looking for a 20% profit on these before I craft them. You see how that works? Will it sell eventually? Yes. And I'll make a lot of gold doing it. But it takes a while to sell those old things. That's perfectly fine with me. You can see the markup. So let's see. We have almost 3 hours on the
Anything exotic, bring it to
auction house database. I'm going to quickly reload, see if there's data from the app. So for those of you who have read the Reddit articles up to this point, how to make crafting profitable, obviously I just showed you the next step with the auctioning. For those of you who have not read the Reddit articles, what do you have to say? I mean, any thoughts, any feedback in the chat? Let's see. Did I remember that? Is it this one? Some of these commands I'm still trying to remember because I just created them. There we go. That's what I was looking for. That's the article. That's the series. So Delphana, it took me 3 attempts to remember the command. But there you go. That's the start of the series. There are 5 parts, eventually 6, etc., etc. But that initial one starts with the basics. And I'll show you the basics right here. Under the main settings, right? It's not a crafting operation, it's just the main settings. Crafting. And then I've again done some changes. Crafting. So I changed the default material cost method. That method is how TradeSkillMaster gets the value of a material, any material. And that could be anything from an herb to an ore to a skin to a crafted item that gets used in another crafting. So, for example, healing potions or mana potions are used in rejuvenation potions, right? So you understand that? Or herbs to pigments to inks, that train, etc., etc. So this is my change. I simply added my purchases. I'm checking whichever is first, smart average buy, or average buy. And the reason why you have to use first there is because when you have zero of an item, smart average buy becomes nil. It's not zero, it's nil. It's not a number. In which case, let's say I'm making stuff and I buy 100 piece bloom and I use up all 100 piece bloom and each one costs me 1 gold. So that would be 100 gold or an average of 1 gold per piece bloom. But I use them all up. Well, then I need to have a value. So that's why average buy is there. So I would still get a 1 gold. And then I take whatever is the comparison there. So 1 gold versus the cheapest of what TradeSkillMaster does by default, which is the cheapest between the current minimum buyout, market value, can you craft the item, i.e., like I said, herbs, pigments, inks, etc., or are you going to herbs to the healing potion to the rejuvenation, or are you just going straight to the healing potion, etc., etc.? Can you buy the item from a vendor? This is not materials that are low supply vendors. They're constantly in stock, like threads and dyes and vials and that kind of stuff. Or can you convert and that's a 1-for-1. So like lesser shards back and forth to greater shards, or fish into oil, or ore into gems, like uncut gems and things like that. So whatever is the cheapest, and then I compare that to my theoretical 1 gold, and then I take whatever's higher of the two. And then, of course, this actually has a slate typo in it, because I reset things. It's supposed to be that. Oops. It's a good thing I looked. So then that's how I value materials or crafted items. And then go and craft. I select groups. Am I going to restock WAD? Well, yeah, I could. And I probably will. But first things first, I need to run a cancel scan.
Have anything ancient to trade?
All right, so Delphina says that was good bedtime reading on that crafting profit. Probably, yeah. I tried to make it as least boring as possible, but there's only so much I can do, right? Delphina adds, she lost her smart average buy-in on mats that bought a long time ago because she was dumb enough to wipe some of the TSM history. Yeah, that's the downside. And unfortunately, every now and then you're going to have to wipe your history. I mean, the big example is when we were all starting out with Battle for Azeroth. You probably very much remember that Anchorweed was something like 400 gold each. If you went and tried to buy anchorweed today, it's not 400 gold. It probably has gone up because people haven't really farmed it as much, but in the last year, however, by the end of Battle for Azeroth, it was about 10 gold. And if you're keeping all of that data over the course of 2 years as part of your average buy value, that's going to mess up what your actual average buy is. It's not accurate. So every now and then, unfortunately, yes, you'd have to wipe either your whole accounting or the purchases of the individual items that you want to wipe. You could do that with under ledger expenses and a right click and just start deleting the buys for various different things. Pain in the ass, especially if you've been buying over and over and over and over and over again. Alright, so Dark Weekend says that he's lurking while torgasting. Hey man, you lurk, I appreciate you being here. Torghast is something I have very much been neglecting. Shh, but I only have 8 renown. Don't tell anyone. And my Venari rep is still in the dumpsters. I really haven't done much in Shadowlands. I've been crafting up a storm, selling a storm, but not really actually doing anything with the expansion. Dark Week Engine and also adds, I wish you could select groups of items to delete the data for. Yeah, that would be nice. Like batch removal of purchases rather than just dumping the whole auction or not auction accounting. That would be awesome. Delphana says that she doesn't even play Shadowlands, just don't like the story or the environments. I can see where you're coming from. I'm not gonna argue that one. I'm not gonna argue that one. I think Shadowlands largely is a flying mount expansion, and the fact that they've been forcing us to be on ground mounts this whole time, not a good thing. Not a good thing. And some of the environments I actually really like, but some of them, again, I totally agree with you. I mean, it's an opinion, obviously. I know people, actual friends, not just guild people, but actual people that I know that love everything about Shadowlands. Okay, it's an opinion. Nothing wrong with that. Just say Darkwing like all the others. Now, wait a second. If I do that, does that mean that you are Darkwing Duck? And you are getting dangerous? And Delphana says she's just going to start calling you Ent. Like Treants. Alright, so 4,800 gold. Yeah, it's kind of a slow day. Which, I mean, yeah, it's a slow day for me. But it's also Saturday. Or Sunday. What am I talking about? Sunday. And for whatever reason, Lightbringer is just terrible on the weekends. Like, much more so than I've seen on any other realm. Um, oh well. So long as I get any sales, I'm happy. Like most people, my big turnaround's always Tuesday evening. That's that's the ones to be selling.
If you find anything
And
exotic,
Darkwing
bring it to me.
adds that you requested that. Um, so, oh, you. That's right. I had completely forgot that you speak and read and write Dutch. Yeah. So, int is duck, sort of. Okay. So it all makes sense. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Just as long as you're getting dangerous. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is I started posting this image on a couple of other Discords. This is obviously uh, TradeSkillMaster 4.11, and under base group, you'll notice you do not have that toggle that says ignore item variations on or off. Instead, you have this menu. If you go specific item, that would be the same thing as having the toggle off, in which case it is item level, secondary stats, tertiary stats, sockets, whatever it is. It's that specific item. If you do base item, it would like be the same as having that toggle on, in which case all items are treated as the base item. It ignores all secondary stats, tertiary stats, item levels, sockets, and it's the base common denominator for that item. But you'll notice item level is now a new thing. And when you do that, anything that does have a different item level, like battle pets, bind on equip stuff, whether they're dropped or even crafted items, it'll add those items to groups by item level, ignoring everything else. So your secondary stats, your tertiary stats, sockets, etc., that's all ignored. Only the item level matters. And my big project here. Okay, Delphana says, be right back. Cat demands food. Well, Cat's the boss. So, yeah, make the cat happy. Otherwise, the cat does cat things and, yeah, no, bad. So, my big project for the last few weeks was. Here, let me collapse this for a second. These are all non-crafted bind on equip BOAs and jewelry. So they're obviously broken down by expansion. They're broken down by quality, then by type, so weapons or armor or jewelry. Were they sold by vendors, in which case that's where those were, or if they're not sold by vendors. And I added every single thing I could find by item level, and it took weeks. It really did. Cross-referencing the game with Wowhead. Happy cat now, says Delphana. Yes, cats must be happy, otherwise cats do cat things. You don't want cats doing cat things. Because the best you can hope for is they scratch you. That's the best you can hope for. So this has been my big project. I finally got this done last night. All of the expansions. Yeah, Delphana agrees. If your cat's not happy, the cat becomes the destroyer of the worlds. I'm not sure if I 100% agree with that. I think I would agree 99% because I think cats are destroyers of the world no matter what. I don't think you can keep a cat happy. They're always plotting to take over the world. Um, and I love pretty much all animals. I I'm not a real fan of the exotic pets. I like looking at them in zoos and things like that, but it kind of really creeps me out when people have spiders or snakes or lizards in the house. I'm like, those are not pets. You cannot actually tame those. All you can do is distract them with food. Otherwise, they kill you. And that's not a pet. Okay? All right? Um, yeah. But yeah, typical stuff. Cats, dogs. Yeah, love them all. I'm neither a cat nor a dog person. I like them all equally. But cats, I'm sorry, Delphina. Don't agree with you 100%. I think cats are just the destroyer of worlds because they're always scheming. I just think that's what you do. Like, you can distract them for a couple of minutes with food or with catnip, but when they're done with that, yeah, they're plotting your doom. I'm sorry, Delphina. That's just what cats do. Yeah, so this has been my massive project, which is absolutely bonkers. Uh, I have updated battle pets. If I select this, now you see all these. These are all tradable. 3,022 different battle pets. You can see different qualities. They're different item levels. So like if I look at Abyssius here, this is a level 2 Abyssius. This is a level 25 Abyssius. That's a level 1. That's, an uncommon level 1. That's the common level 1, etc., etc. That was actually really simple. I did not have to um, pull from Wowhead to do that. In fact, it was actually not a good idea to do that because Wowhead can't actually tell the pet IDs. They can only tell the item IDs uh, for that would give you the pets. So um, it doesn't really work with caged items all that well. Oh, a couple of expires, no big deal. I know I'm going to get a few of them. So what I did here, I'm just going to move around a little bit so I don't time out. If I pull up the auction house and look up browse here, you will see this search / battle pets. If I search the auction house, that's going to refresh my local auction DB of all battle pets that are currently in the auction house. And then if I stop the search and go back to the main TSM window and go to base group and selected by item level, with battle pets you could actually use specific items if you were after the battle pets that have different combat abilities. I'm not a battle pet person, so somebody in chat will have to correct me, but what is it, that /H or /S or the different combat abilities that they can randomly generate? If you are after those, that's what you would want to use specific item, because that would also catch the quality and the item levels as well. I don't care about those, so I added all the battle pets by item level, and I used the same search. So if I just did this under base group, oop, I typoed that wrong, didn't I? Yeah, I did the whatever, but you get the point. I know I could find it, and you can find it on the TradeSkillMaster website under Getting Help with the custom price search. I'm just a little too lazy right now because I've already done this, but you could just use that search term, and any item that, or any battle pet that would not already be in that group would show up. Yeah, invalid search term. Yeah, that's just my own faulty thing.
Have anything
See if what was it?
Needs to be at least
Yeah, so it is actually battle pets. I think when I go to base group to search, I have to search something like miscellaneous or slash miscellaneous slash battle pet slash. I think that's what it would work. Okay, so Eliath or Eliath, I'm sorry, I'll get it eventually. Saying about the pets, those are stats: health, power, and speed. Okay, okay, I can understand that. Okay.
if you find anything exotic.
Yeah, shut up. Somebody went and killed Aldwart. I don't need you yapping at me. Silly elf. Especially since this NPC shouts. Like if I go over here. So annoying. I think I've caught him when he stopped talking, but that is one of the voice files that is way too loud. So I tend to hide when I'm doing that. All right. Okay. Question time. What have you guys got for me? Hit me up. What do you want to know? Because people are always going to learn stuff. Is it? Delphina is asking, is it like Eliath with a hard short A, or like Eliath? Eliath? Would that be? We're trying to get the phonetics on somebody here. No, ass, I think. So, Elias, like attack. Hey, we'll get this eventually. I mean, you should have seen the name of my previous character's main on a different realm. I intentionally misspelled it, just slightly. I pronounced it Muradin, but some people pronounce it Mirodin. It's a little different. I've transposed like a Y and an R there, and then added an extra R and a D, whatever. It's Gaelic for Merlin. But I didn't want to spell it exactly the same because it was a priest character. Didn't quite fit. But yeah, people ended up just calling that character Miro or Mirodin or Muradin, and yeah, so all over the place. Whereas Saigon is much easier, way simpler. And if you're curious where I got that, yes, it is in fact named after the city, Saigon. But again, I didn't want to spell it exactly the same. So instead of Saigon, it's Sygon. And it's based on a Dungeons and Dragons character I played as a kid. He was a dual wielding fighter, and I figured that worked great for a demon hunter. So now you know. Yeah, carrying campaign. Like I said, I've been ignoring this. And I'm not enthused with Shadowlands. There are parts of Shadowlands that I like, but the sheer quantity of things to do is not actually one of them. I think there are far too many things to do. And with 9.1 looming, there are now far too many things that I have to do to catch up, and so my natural inclination is just not do them, which is not helping me at all. Um, I've become my own worst enemy when Blizzard started as my own worst enemy. I have transposed Blizzard, and I am punishing myself now. Alright, so those are done. I think I only had one or two Epicurean awards. Yeah, two. So I can't buy any more. I've also been neglecting the Sunsong Ranch and the tillers in general, both the faction and the individual tillers, because they have food and recipes that I have not learned on this character. And eventually they're on the to-do list. And for those of you who watched Samadan's stream over the last month or two, I'm taking a page out of him. I'm going to be, and have been, kind of tracking down older recipes, because again, the more recipes you know, then you actually know the value of those items. Whether it's copper bracers, or a food, or a potion, or an ink, or in some cases a gem that you shatter out of ore. If you do not know what those items are actually worth, how in the world are you going to sell them at the proper value? And how in the world are you going to, pull up TSM, look at groups, and queue up what's profitable? You need to know recipes. So she's gone to bed now, but Drizzling Rose kind of had the right idea there. More characters, more professions, more recipes. You cannot have enough of them. So Slaxis says, "Hey everyone, what are my groups and operations like, Saigon?" Well, I can run through this again, absolutely. Coincidentally, I ran through this at the beginning of the stream. Delphana says, "Ow, just got a ding." Okay, so Slaxis, let's do the real quick recap here for you. And later, after the stream's done, this will get uploaded, or, well, archived on Twitch, and I'll also put it on YouTube on my channel. Did I create that link? Did I create that command? I'm trying to remember what my commands are. Silly me, I've forgotten. I'll pull them up. Okay, I know this one. I'll quickly recap it here for you, Slaxis, but I do mean quick. And you will definitely, you'll see all of the stuff at the beginning when you watch. Where's my? There it is. And okay, that explains why that command doesn't work. I have not yet created it. Ha 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 ha. Okay, I will have to do that. Oops. Are they shared anywhere? They are, in fact, shared. Right there. Now, the catch is that some of the groups that I'll quickly show you right now will only work in TSM 4.11. And before I show you the operations here, Selexis, I'll show you a quick group. So this BOEs, as you can see, they're all broken down and broken down and broken down, etc., etc. All of these are all of the non-grafted BOEs in every expansion by quality, slot, vendor, etc., etc. They've all been added to this group by item level in 4.11. If I export this and put it on Patreon and you guys import it into TSM 4.10, it will not work. There will be hundreds, possibly thousands of item variations that will not be in groups. So this will have to wait for 4.11. There are 4.10 versions of this group, along with professions and things like that on the Patreon. Same thing with Battle Pets. I've rebuilt this for 4.11 as well. So forward thinking, you'll get access to that. At least a pet from Torghast. All right. Good luck, buddy. Torghast is actually one of the few things in Shadowlands I actually like. I'm not sure if enjoy is correct, but I actually like it. I cannot stand the Maw, on the other hand. Why do I group by weapon type? It's because when you do a shopping search for things, so not sniper, but an actual shopping search, the more things that you are searching, the much longer it takes to get search results. And something that would normally take, I don't know, a couple of seconds or something like that to return hits could take minutes, or if I search the entire group, hours, if it even finished, because it would probably crash the game if I tried to do that. So if I am after, I don't know, one-handed swords, then I only want to look for one-handed swords. That's why. I don't want to be returning daggers and offhand frills and things like that. That's why I do that.
Just in time. Let's see this thing off then.
Just in time, let's see this thing off. Interesting. Something just happened. And anyway, that's why I do that. And then I'm going to quickly recap this again for you, Slexus, and I will link this. And you're probably familiar with that. It's a 5-part series. That's part 1. The other parts are in the sticky comment. And you can see what I'm doing there. Under crafting, I've added my purchases to the material cost, and then I extended craft value method, which is not crafting. It's the value of an item that is crafted at the auction house, but this is not to be confused with the price source crafting. Crafting is the sum of all of this. Like if there are 2, 3, 4 different materials, that's what crafting is. Craft value is not that. It's just what the item's worth when you buy. And then craft or custom sources, I have min craft profit. Again, go back and see, but the short of it is, depending on the sale rate of the item, I have a different profit margin. If it has a high sale rate, I have a lower profit, 10%, because it's more likely to sell. If it doesn't sell very high or very low, then I ask for a higher profit because I have to relist the item much more times. Then pop over to crafting operations. Again, I'll recap why there are so many. It's just basically some make one. They have cooldowns. You can only make one per day. Alchemy, rank 3 base, that's for Legion. Rank 3 Silas is alchemy with Silas. But then the typical one is this. And the min and max are the same because I don't like making items if they haven't sold yet. I have to wait for the items to sell out, that me not having any stock before I restock them. So inventory of 0 before I restock. So that's why these are both the same. And basically it's saying make at least one up to 20% of the number of items that are sold on the average day. So if the average is 100, then I'll restock 20. If the average is 10, I'll restock 2. It's a float. And then you see that Minecraft profit, etc., etc. I suppose I could correct that because I've corrected it elsewhere, etc., etc. And then crafting, or that's crafting, and then general, the two big ones to look at. General is my all-purpose auction operation. I'm ignoring any competition between 30 minutes and 2 hours because whether those items sell or expire, they're not my competition anymore. I don't care about them. When posting, I'm posting for 12 hours, post up to 50,000. I pretty much never have 50,000, but why not? And then min, max, and normal are all the same, just the numbers are bigger. So when minimum is 150% of 80% of what I paid for it, can it be destroyed? Does the vendor have anything, etc., etc. I compare that to 110% of the cost to craft. So even if my craft profit is 20%, I'm willing to go as low as 10% profit for crafting. It just gives me more of a buffer, both on the crafting side and the selling side. And then I compare that with half the market value or 80% of the region market, and then this last bit is just the list fees at 12-hour increments. So then 150%, 500%, 110%, 300%. They're the same. I've just bumped the numbers up, right? That's pretty much all it is. And then the other kind of important one, because the others outside of those two are just repetitions of a theme, is materials. And all I've done here is I've taken out destroy and crafting as price sources, because even though there are some items that can be crafted or destroyed, like ores into gems or herbs into pigments, etc., that kind of thing, my realm's so screwed up for prices that a lot of the times, if I'm trying to just sell excess materials, I want to compete with just that material, not the material that it really should be valued at. It's just Lightbringers is messed up. People don't understand the cost that things that things have when you make them, whether that's a potion or copper bracers, or even an ore that you could or a gem that you could shatter out of ores. People don't understand that there are costs, and I hated to do it, but I had to. I had to make the materials just be the materials. All right, Delphina, have a great night. Sleep well. So, Sylaxis, I hope, I go much more in depth earlier in the stream, but I hope that quick recap covers what I was doing there. And then, obviously, when I go and restock, I just pull up groups, and I'm always restocking things. You see WAD Alchemy. I even restock old stuff, because I mean, look at this. If I did this, it only cost me 46 gold, potential profit almost 600. Why? Even though they sell very slowly, and as you can see, I'm only making one per. They sell often enough with big enough margins, the way I've got things set up, that it's worth my time. And anything that does not have at least a 10% profit will never kill. So if I look at the crafting list and scroll down, like this one here, Potion of Spectral Strength, 9% profit. Oh, I gotta get away from that guy. That blood elf is way too yappy. 9%, that is a profit. I'm not gonna make it, because it's under 10%. So, yeah, 17% chance to sell. I'm not gonna risk it. The margins just aren't there. So, yeah, obviously anything in red will never restock. But this column here, the percent, has to be at least 10% or more. No matter whether it's alchemy or cooking or inscription or blacksmithing, even smelting, it doesn't matter. That column there has to be 10% or higher, or I just don't bother. That's personal choice. It's just the way I've got it set up. I know a lot of people talk about, who was that? I think she returned for Shadowlands. I'm drawing a blank on her name. But she had a very similar setup to this. It's not quite the same. I can't remember what her name is. It'll come to me. Good afternoon, Shanty. Anyway, she has things set up that she will auction for a minimum of 5%, and she'll craft for a minimum of 5%. And the way I figure is, unless that item is selling boom, 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 like as fast as you can sell it, it's restocking and you are selling and you're in that cycle, then that margin, 5%, is way too tight because you've got cancel scans, you've got relisting, you've got expiring, and it doesn't make me comfortable to do that. I think 5% is just too low as a low, as a minimum. It's too narrow, too risky. So, Shanty, you're just here um, twice now. I think you've missed the quick recap that I just did on my crafting and auction operations. There's a much longer in-depth one that you will watch on this stream when the stream is over, and it'll get archived to Twitch. I will also put it on YouTube. I need to create the command for YouTube. I should probably do that right now. Obviously that's going to take longer because YouTube has to do its processing and all of the stuff that YouTube has to YouTube. But you'll be able to see this much sooner on Twitch when the stream ends. Sorry, I'm just trying to do a couple of things here. Let's add this command. Spell it correctly. Insert my text. Confirm. Okay. Let's see if that now works. Ready, guys? Okay, hang on. Let me pull up Streamlabs again. And this. Ha! It worked right away. And the Twitch 24-hour exclusivity thing. That's true. So this stream won't go up till tomorrow on YouTube. Even though I'm not an affiliate or a partner or anything like that, I want to not piss off Twitch. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But that is the new command that I just added. So you'll be able to see the streams later in 24 hours. There are some non-Twitch TSM gold making videos. I'll be making more. I'm just getting back into this streaming, YouTubing thing. I've been away for 2 years at least for that kind of thing. And I'm having to relearn things. I'm trying to remind myself of certain things. So it's a learning curve. I was chuckling with Dirty Irby about this a couple of days ago. Yeah, you want to do this kind of thing? It's a lot of fun, but wow. I feel like a dummy sometimes dealing with this stuff. I'm much more comfortable dealing with the actual gold making. And Shanty, here's the other thing people wanted to see. Let's recap. Here's the long boy plummet going. There's that long boy. And then I've been recovering ever since. You can see the upwards curve. but there was a lot of dead time. Let's pull it to about there. November, December, March. Yeah, so you see this flat line here. This was a whole combination of things. Family issues, personal time, bad internet, etc., etc. And I simply couldn't play the game. I either wasn't here or because of bad internet, just not capable of of playing the internet or the game. But if I select a much more recent chunk, and you can see the end of that when I started coming back, 496,000 gold, and here I am at 851, and this was April to today. And that's alchemy and cooking. All of my other alts, I know I've been talking about more professions. I'm working on those because I never played the alt game until basically this point. I had alts, but I had created them and done nothing with them. So a lot of them are stuck in older content because they're lower level. My highest level guy actually is in the maw in that starting place, so I haven't even got to Ouroboros yet. That kind of thing, and I'm just getting back into them and learning more things and more recipes and etc. etc. So that explains my gold curve or graph, the boom, followed by a whole bunch of this, and now going back up. Am I generating dirty herby numbers? No, because all of the professions that would earn the huge amount of gold are actually on my alts. And as I just said, they're leveling up and they don't have the profession recipes yet. So I'll get there. What I'm dreading is the same dread that Samadan had, was when I get to leatherworking and blacksmithing and whatnot. Yeah, the legendary grind. Oh my god. Oh, I am not looking for that. So Shanty and Slack says, you probably missed this on Samizdan's stream earlier today, and I can't really show it for you for reasons that I just explained. But in theory, so I can't do that on this character, but let's pretend for a second that I did actually have a Shadowlands leatherworker type character. This is TSM Alpha 4.11. Let's theoretically suggest that I wanted to make some items with crafting marks from the crafting list or groups restock. I can, in fact, restock with the marks or the relics. And looks like I have to reload my UI here for a second. And TSM will figure out the crafting costs, like the material costs, and add them to the legendary stuff or the relic stuff or the crafter's mark stuff all at once. So we're finally got to a point in 4.11 where it is better now to use 4.11 than it is to use the base UI. And you've probably seen this on Dirty Irby's stream. I know you've seen it on Samadan's stream that for the last couple of months,
Just in time.
even though they're on 4.11, they've been switching back to the base UI when crafting anything with relics or marks or even legendaries. Now, of course, 4.11 does support the ranks for legendaries, which 4.10 does not. But here's another cool thing. So I mentioned the adding groups by item level, right? And you can recap that later, Shanty. Or you can check out the YouTube article, or not article, video where I talk about adding groups from Wowhead. You can see it there, and I go through it. Well, here's something really cool. So if I have to rebuild all of my profession stuff. I'm working on those for 4.11. But if I had already had them set up, I could pull up, say, leatherworking, and now add all of the items by item level, and that to groups. So I no longer have to worry about item variations, and I certainly don't want to do specific items. Well, I could with 4.11, but I find it's better with just item level, and especially with those crafted ones, because people who buy them don't really care about the secondary stats. Typically, they tend to only care about whether this item gives me 15 extra item levels. But once those items are added to groups in 4.11, you could then restock a crafting queue with those items, and 4.11 will figure out that, oh, you need 4 relics because you're making 4 items. Oh, and not just, this relic, you need like 4 relic 2s. Oh, you're making these items with marks, and you need crafter's marks 2 or 3 or whatever's coming, right? It figures this out. Samadan was kind of showing this off a little bit earlier today. I wish I could show you, but my ults aren't there yet. I'm working on them. But oh my God, talk about a game changer! That now you've got items added to groups, and you don't even need to have child groups based on item levels unless you want them. For example, one reason you might want them is, let's say you have legendary rank 4. If you don't want to be making ranks 1, 2, and 3, sure, you could do that, but then have a child group with just the rank 4s and only restock the rank 4s when you select for restocking. That would be a perfectly good and logical reason why you might have a child group specifically with those kind of things, or just specifically the ones you want with Crafter Mark II or whatever you want to do. But if you just in general, you can do that now with 4.11. You could just go restock, and TSM figures out the correct item level and the correct amount of marks and the correct amount of relics and the correct levels for the marks and the correct levels of the relics, etc. And it just does this now, like boom, boom, boom. It takes seconds now to just do the whole thing. It's finally we are here. Yeah, so Shanty agrees. That'll be so nice. It's a pain to manually sell novice gear right now. Yes, it is. I haven't done it because, like I said, my alts aren't there yet. But I've watched enough other streamers to know what kind of massive headache it is. So, yes, I totally agree with you, Shanty. Thank you, 4.11, for finally getting there. We don't know when it's coming. Even those of us who are in it, unless your name is Sapu, Reisky, or Gumdrops, maybe even Muffins. And they're not talking. They tell us nothing. There is no release date. Fingers crossed. That comes with 9.11, or not 9.1. We'll see TSM 4.11, but that's a wild shot in the dark guess. I've got no information, but it seems like a reasonable guess to me. And the way it's shaping up right now, it looks like 4.11 is getting near the end. That said, yesterday and today, there were some bug reports and some fixes, followed by some more bug reports. So it's not done. It if you are currently subscribed to TradeSkillMaster as a premium user, you do not get access to 4.11 yet. On the other hand, that is one of the perks of having premium, that if and when, because we don't know if it's going to happen, the TSM team decides to put out a beta for 4.11, if you have TSM Premium, you get first crack. Okay? It's always been true. Anytime there's a new version of TSM, if you've got TSM Premium, you get first crack at the beta. Now, I will say that again. If the TSM team decides to make a beta, if you have Premium, you have first crack. But they're telling the rest of us, even though guys like me testing it, they're telling us nothing. We have no idea if there's going to be a beta, or whether they're going to jump to release, or when it's coming. We just know it's in progress. And we can show it off. There is no NDA, no non-disclosure agreement says that we cannot show it, and that's why you're seeing it. But I just want to be perfectly clear. You can ask me all you want. I don't know the answers. And I'm even in the dev channel. That's how I have access to this. And I still don't know, okay? It's a lot better now than it was, a month or two ago, but it still needs some work. So I'm going to do a vendor search. Always worth doing. And 2 or 3 days ago, oh my God, you know how everybody wants arboreal shards and they want them by the hundreds or thousands. Dirty Irby was even saying that with his goblin discount, he saved 30 million gold buying arboreal shards with his goblin discount, or exalted for the rest of us. 30 million gold. That's what he saved. Not what he spent. That's what he saved. That's how many arboreal shards that Dirty Irby has bought. Okay? It's ridiculous. Like he spent well over 100 million gold in arboreal shards. Well, 2 or 3 days ago, I did a vendor search. I found 10 of them for 30 gold each. So I bought 10 Boreal Shards on a TSM vendor search for a total of 300 gold. Yeah, so Shanty, yeah, there you go. Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do. Shanty's saying that he's no dirty Irby, but he's buying them on his goblin character for the guaranteed 20% discount and then sending them over to the characters that actually use them. Yeah, that's like, even if you are not making hundreds or thousands of legendaries every week or month, even if you're only making, under 10 or under 100 legendaries a month, those Arboreal Shards, they add up. I mean, without the discount, they're 120 gold each. With the discount, or full discount, they're 100 gold each. They're not cheap. It's not like buying, a vial, which is a couple of silver. They're just bonkers how expensive they are. 125 gold. Oh, great. So it's even worse. Thanks, Shanty. But yeah, no, a vendor search, bought 10 of them, 30 gold each. Can't use them on this character? Threw in my reagent bank, and as soon as one of my other characters can get access to those recipes, you bet your ass, I've just saved myself a couple of thousand gold. So I'm going to do this cancel scan. Yeesh. How many? 52. Oh, this is going to hit the throttle. My results have been a little different with 4.11. You're probably going to see this a little different, or see this here real quick, than a couple of other goblins. I've asked, but I don't actually have an answer. So 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. And now I've hit the throttle. So it took 42 items to cancel, or hit the throttle. Sometimes it's as low as 38. Other goblins, they're getting hit by that blizzard throttle around 50 or so items. And I was hitting that up until, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something like that. So I don't know what's going on here. I've talked to the devs, and I've got no answers. Not yet, because I don't think they have answers. Not yet. But yeah, I'm hitting the blizzard throttle a little earlier than I should be for cancel scans. And here's another alpha bug, a 4.11 alpha bug. I need to report this because I don't think they've noticed this. Because you notice I've got to the end of my cancel scan, and then the next one says my auction has not been undercut, canceling 52 or 52. But if I keep canceling, it's failing, and it's saying retrying those auctions which have failed. It didn't fail. It actually canceled them. So the message is in error because everything is canceled. But shows off. I mean, there's still, little bugs. Hi, other Brutosaur. Let's collect this expired stuff as well. I sold one of those war knives yesterday. Okay, Shanty says you've got that on 4.10. You're getting the blizzard throttle a little earlier than expected? Are you seeing the same thing? Yeah, the canceled item. Oh, the bug that I showed you where the chat message and it's okay. I thought it was a four. Well, I've been on 4.11 for so long. So you still see that erroneous message? Inventory's full and I had 2 more things to collect. Curse you, full bags. Curse you.
To trade needs to be at least 2 centuries old.
I think I've got 30 slot bags with a couple of 32s. I haven't bought all 32 slot bags. I certainly don't have them for my bank. Well, I mean, I don't need them in the bank. If anything, I need more reagent space sometimes, or like reagent bank space, but not so much in the bank. For inventory, yeah, I frequently run out, and having 8 extra slots would be very useful. But it's gold I don't want to spend right now. Relisting. You guys know how this goes. Shanty says that he's had to resort to using the regular bank for reagents. Yeah, sometimes you just got to. I don't. I know everybody's different. I don't like holding on to materials that I don't use immediately in my crafting queue. But a couple of weeks ago on the alpha, there was a really nasty bug, and I didn't catch it right away. It's long since fixed. But here, I'll just pull up a random group. Show what you mean, or show you guys what I mean. So you've got your queue here. This bug has been fixed, but this was the problem I faced a couple of weeks ago. This first item, no matter how many were queued, whether it was 1 or 100 or whatever it is, TSM, under gathering, open task list. So I gathered all the materials for my entire queue, okay? And at the time, it included a bunch of Cataclysm and Wrath alchemy stuff. So I needed Cataclysm and Wrath of the Lich King herbs. The bug was that this first item, I don't remember how many it had to queue or whatever, because it was a couple of weeks ago, but let's say it was 38, right? So what happened was I would do craft next after gathering my materials. It would make all the 38 and not remove that first item. And then the task list would update and say that I needed to buy the herbs to make the 38 of the item. So then, me being stupid and just droning on, being half asleep probably, I went and bought more herbs. And then made more and made more. And then when I realized what had happened, I now have way too many herbs for some of those expansions. In one case, I have over 1,000 Lich Bloom from Wrath of the Lich King, and I paid more now than I can sell them for, or paid more than what I can sell them for. So I'm going to take a loss, at least on the herbs. The wrath potions have enough of a profit that they will make up the difference, but I'm only crafting, 2, 4 of those, and then if they sell, and then I restock, but there's no guarantee the ones that restock need Lich Bloom, etc., etc. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this 1,000 Lich Bloom. It's an anchor hanging off of me right now. But as you can see from my gold, I'm still going up. I'm not being punished financially, as it were, as badly as I could be. But boy, am I glad that bug is fixed. Holy smokes. Because now it crafts and it removes the item, and then the task list is not prompting me to buy more, blah, blah. Oh, that was a nasty bug. That was a nasty bug. And, of course, the problem is twofold. One, bug in the alpha 2 or 3 weeks ago. But on top of that, it was a pepcac error. Problem exists between keyboard and chair. So that was my fault. Mr. Jack the Dipper! How you, sir? Yeah, so Shanty says, you've had to resort to using regular bank space reagents, so many pallid bones. Yeah. So that bug aside, that is exactly why, under normal circumstances, I never hold materials. I only buy the amount of materials I need to process my queue. Because, for example, those Lich Bloom, TSM was trying to sell them for 30 something gold each, whereas if I go to the auction house and look them up, they're only worth about 2 or 3 gold. So yeah, but when I bought them they were worth 30, a couple of weeks ago. And then not so much. So that's why I don't like holding on to materials for exactly that situation. But, of course, it was an alpha error followed by a pepcac error. So it is what it is. I'm sitting on it. Yes, Jack, I stream. This is kind of a new thing for me. Certainly the streaming. I've only been streaming now every couple of days. No real set schedule yet. I'm trying to figure out my own personal schedule. But I've only been doing it for about a week now. And my YouTube, I'd been neglecting for 2 years, and now I'm just starting to get back into that. So this stream will of course get archived, and sometime tomorrow after the 24-hour wait, I will put the stream on YouTube, but of course you can watch it on Twitch as a I've been saving for 2 years. I'm not sure what I've been saving. I know what you're talking about, like content and stuff like that. But I'll have to take your word for that, Jack. I'm getting back into this. So it's a new, we'll call it a new, fresh start for sure. Absolutely. That's a safe, good way to describe it. But yeah, this is why you didn't know prior to that, Jack. I've only been at the streaming thing for a week and not every day. I think this is about my 4th stream in 7 days. because I think I actually started a week ago today. Like, well, I guess 8 days ago. So I think I started right after Samadan's WoW Economy wrap-up stream last week. Am I enjoying streaming? I am, actually. Uh, as anyone could tell you, it's a lot harder when you're the only person talking and you have to come up with content that people might uh, watch on the archive streams later. And I've been struggling with that because I haven't really got used to it yet. So for, I think, the last stream that I did started with a few minutes of dead space. Again, I'm just getting used to it. I'm learning. I'm going to make mistakes. So today, wow, I was not expecting this. When Samadan was finished his raid, or not his raid, his stream, and I watched the whole way through because it's Samadan. You got to watch a Samadan stream. It's awesome. As he was just wrapping up, I started up mine, and then Samadan came in with a raid, and I was like, oh my god, whoa, because it's like the Spanish Inquisition, Jack. Nobody expects it. Nobody expects a raid. It's like the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, and then nobody expects a Samadan raid. Okay, guys, I'm not going to stop the stream, but you could probably hear it in my voice. I need to go get something really quick to drink. I'm going to throw up the be right back screen, and I'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. What you've been missing on this stream so far, Jack, is a lot of focus on how and why I am a crafting goblin. I'm happy to do a recap, but there was definitely a slower take at the beginning of the stream, which of course you can watch later, that goes into how I do things and why I do things the way I get them done. So yeah, you've heard me say, well, probably this is the first time hearing it, but you've probably seen me type that I only make things if they're going to have a profit. Well, I show you exactly what I do. And you've probably seen those Reddit articles. They're going to continue. There will be more parts to them. I haven't got to them yet. So you guys got sneak peeks about what's coming. All right. Okay, I'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. Stand by.
Mic off. Mic on.
Okay, I'm back. My AFK screen. There we go. So Jack, now that you're here, you've probably heard Dirty Irby talk about my groups and operations. Again, if you watch the stream, today's stream later, you'll see a much more in-depth thing, but do you want me to do a real quick recap of what Dirty Irby was talking about? Yeah, sure? Okay. Just throwing those out there. Okay. So, got to start in the main settings. What I have done here under crafting is you've seen these in the how to make crafting profitable series. So I've added my purchases to the material costs, and then I extended the default craft method just in case things have not been in my auction house for longer than 14 days. And then I'll show you the custom source and then how I use it. It's this min craft profit here, and if I pull it up, should be able to read it a little better. Basically, it's saying if the sale rate, whether it's first region or my personal or 0.1, if that sale rate is equal to or greater than or equal to 0.10 or 10% chance to sell, in other words, items have a high turnaround, more likely to sell, I've set my profit to 10%. If, on the other hand, it is an under 10% chance to selling, I've buffered it at 20% profit. Basically because I have to either cancel or relist those auctions a lot more times because they have low sale rates. And then a lot of this is just as you kind of see, but it's a lot of rinse and repeat, but some customizations. The make ones, those are things for daily cooldowns, and then there's Legion Alchemy, Legion or BFA Alchemy with the Silas Brock. But the two main ones are this one and the materials. And what I've done here is told it only, so these are identical because I only want to restock when I am sold out of an item. I don't like having some stock that have not yet sold. That's why the min and max restocks are the same, and it's basically saying restock a minimum of 1 up to 20% of the regional sold per day. So if the regional sold per day is 100, I'm telling it take whatever's higher, either 1 or 20. Well, obviously 20 is higher, so it's restocking 20 every single time I have 0 of an item. And then here's that min craft profit. I could probably switch back to the default but this was an old edit. The other one that is, it's not a crafting operation, it's an auction operation. And the difference here is the general is my all-purpose one, but you can see non-crafted BOEs, I've got a little different stuff, and then rank 3s. Again, this is for alchemy, mastery, and stuff like that. I'm ignoring any competition that is expiring under 2 hours, because I figure it's either going to get sold or expires. I don't care about those. They're not my competition anymore because they'll be gone because I list for 12 hours. And then my min, max, and norm are all the same, except obviously bigger numbers. And basically, this is just saying that take 150% of whatever's higher, 80% of smart average buy. So if I've bought it, but 150% of 80% works out to 120%, right? Because half of 80 is 40, 40 plus 80, 120. But compare that with 150% of the destroy value, the vendor sell, here's your 5% auction house cut, that, and then I compare that chunk to 110% crafting after the auction house fee. So even though some items might have a 20% crafting profit in my crafting queue, I'm willing to sell them down to a minimum of 10% profit. And then I compare that one, so that first one and the second one, to the minimum of half the market or 80% of the region market. And then at the end, this bit here is the list fees for 12 hours. So 15% of vendor sell, right? So then these are just higher. So instead of 150%, it's 500%. Ooh, I sold some tenorous crown roast aspic. Nice. And then etc., etc. So then that's the general and all purpose. I've got some other customized ones, like the non-crafted BOEs are a little different, because I depend more on the region market average for those kind of things. But the real important one is materials, because as I've discovered on this server, that even though a material can be crafted or might be destroyed into another material, like ores into gems or herbs into pigments and kind of things, this server's economy is so messed up that I have to sell materials based only on their material. Like, if I'm selling Peace Bloom, I'm only selling it versus other Peace Bloom, right? But of course, I want to profit if I buy them, and whether or not the vendor will buy them, but then I, compare to market and region market. So basically all I've done is I've taken out destroy and crafting. That's the only real difference between the two. And the rest are all just variants of the theme. So Silas, instead of 110% crafting, it's 110% crafting divided by 1.7, because you have typically a 70% more items when you do Silas rank 3, right? Yeah, so Jack's asking, thank you for the follow there. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Kalitz? I'm going to mess that one up. Is it Kalitz? So Jack the Dipper here, you're asking that I add a single vendor sell deposit cost. Yes, because whether it's the minimum, maximum, or normal, I'm selling at 12 hours, and the list fee is always the same. It doesn't matter whether it's selling for maximum or selling for normal, because the way I figure it is, yes, I could increase that first 15% or 1 silver, but I figure, why? I'm already bumping it elsewhere in the operation. So Jack the Dipper's adding, yeah, he uses it with expires times vendor sell. Yes, yep, you could do that for sure. You probably have seen the tweet from Bill Zanixia. um, where he talks about the list fees that you expect to pay over time until that item sells. So I used to add that. Well, I mean, it would be if I go here under crafting, I used to tack it on the end of here in the default craft values, or under the crafting operations, I would put it here. I used to do that. As you can see, I do not do that anymore. I find that mathematical equation is awesome. And if you put it in the crafting operation, it would actually be minus something, right? Because you, or if you put it in the main settings, it would be minus this, etc. Minus Bill is Anixia, right? But what this would do, if you did that, then you are further lowering the value of an item in the auction house, or at least the expected value when the item is listed in the auction house. Since I make a lot of things that have low sale rates because they're older expansion things, even though I'm increasing my expected profit, I have to list those more and more. And if I subtracted Bill's estimator from the craft value, I found a lot of items that were exceedingly profitable. They were like 25, 30, 40, 60% profit, kind of thing. Suddenly would not queue in my crafting operation because the list fees ate too much of my profit. So it's not wrong to do that. It does eliminate a lot of things that could suddenly not be profitable over time. But what I found was that those items shockingly actually sell more often for me, especially older alchemy. The big one is Warlords of Draenor alchemy during time walking weeks. So I mean, sure, I'm only queuing like a flask or a potion or whatever it is, but it'll sell. So the sales rate is still only like 1 or 2% or 3% if it's really super popular. But if I put in Bill's calculation either into the default crafting or craft value or in an operations craft value adjustment, then those WAD things would not queue, and thus I was losing sales. So instead, and I need to re-enable it, I think I might need to recreate it, but I found it's actually better to take Bill's estimated costs over time and add it as a custom source in, well, I've disabled it, but overtime fees, if I enabled it, it would be there. And it works much better as a tooltip information than modifying your crafting. So that's the super quick recap, and that's why Dirty Irby likes talking about my setup, because, well, yeah. You'll have to ask him for more details. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think he gathers what I'm doing. So Shanty here is saying, have a good rest of the stream. Definitely be checking the VOD later. I'm going to leave you with one last thing here, Shanty, before you go. And again, this is covered in the crafting thing. But in the crafting UI gathering, this is also really, really important to get your crafting sources in the correct order. In my case, I have full access to the guild bank. If you don't, remove it. Then vendor for the obvious vendor things, right? Then craft profitable. That assumes that I have the materials on hand to craft, or if I don't have the materials, I will source my alts. I don't have any alt guild banks, so it's way down here. Then auction house disenchanting. A lot of people with enchanting totally forget about this, because if you need dusts and shards, it often, it's insanely how often that people will list items in the auction house for less than they're worth if you disenchanted them. So I don't know. If you were working on vanilla enchanting for some reason and you needed item level 20 equivalent gear to disenchant, or really you're after the dust, what this is doing is it will tell TSM to search for those items cheaper than the dust or the shards. So you buy those items, you disenchant them, and you saved tons of gold. Crazy amounts of gold. If, on the other hand, you either don't have enchanting, or there are no items when you search that can give you the dust and shards that you want, then search for the dust or shards. That's the auction house. And failing all that, then it's the searching the auction house directly for the item. For me, these last two, I never hit. I could remove these and nothing would change. If I had an alt guild bank, I would move that up, probably either above or just below alts. But craft unprofitable, no matter how you set this up, no matter what you do, craft unprofitable, guaranteed, never going to hit it. Ever. Could remove it, and it does nothing. It's a useless source. I only have it here to remind me it exists. But this is the most optimal way to set up your gathering sources. So I don't know if Shanty caught that before Shanty left. Some new 4.11 stuff. I would love to actually show you some stuff. I actually don't have the professions and or the recipes to really show you some good things. I can talk about some theory that we saw earlier on Samden's stream, but here's one for you I can show. You sell me some 4.11. All right, Jack, I will sell it to you. Tree fitty. Okay, so Jack, here you go. You're probably aware of this. You probably heard about this, but when you were adding items to groups, the toggle ignore item variations, it's gone. It's history. It's out of here. Boom! You're antique. You're old news. You're yesterday's thinking. So instead, 250. All right, Jack. $250. I will sell you some TSM stuff. Deal. Sure. Shake. All right. So instead of that toggle, ignore item variations, you now get this menu instead. What this means, in translating from 4.10 to 4.11, specific item is having the ignore item variations off. Okay? So this is specifically that item. It's specifically the item by item level, by secondary stats, by tertiary stats, by socket, by quality, etc., etc. It's whatever bonus IDs or variants that make that item specific or unique. That's what this is. So the toggle off is specific item. Base item is the toggle on. And just like having the toggle on, it is treat that item ignoring all bonus IDs, all secondary stats, item levels, qualities, tertiary stats, sockets, and it treats all those items as the base item, the lowest common denominator of that item. Okay? But there's this third new option now. You can add items by item level. And obviously some things like, I don't know, mounts or toys or whatever, they don't have an item level, and you can still add them with this. It just makes no difference. But when you're dealing with a lot of crafted gear that does have item levels, or bind on equip transmog gear and battle pets, you can add these to groups with item level now. And that's exactly what it means. If there is a quality difference, whether it's common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, whatever it is, they have item levels. And obviously, say, I like going to copper bracers because everybody knows what copper bracers are. But if you had copper bracers item level 10 of the quick blade, and you had copper bracers item 12 of the fever flame, and then you had an item level 12 copper bracers of the fever flame with a socket, if you added by item level, it's just going to add 2 of those items. It's going to add the copper bracers item level 10, and it's going to add them copper bracers item level 12. Everything else is ignored. We don't care about the fever flame. We don't care about the quick blade. We don't care about the socket. We don't care if one has speed. None of it. Okay? It's just the item level. Okay? So the toggle has been removed. And if I show you under battle pets, that's exactly what I've done now. Is that if I look at Abyssius here, that's a level 2 pet. If I click on this, it's a level 25 version. This is a level 1 version. This is a level 1 uncommon. This is a common version, right? So you get that idea? That the level 2 and the level 25, when I added by item level, boom, there they go, right? They're in the groups, which means I am now, when I shop or sell for those items, I am competing against those item levels. So this item level 25 version of Abyssius, that's what I'm going to compete with when I sell, if I have an item level 25. The item level 2 or level 2 pet, if I have a level 2 pet, it'll compete with that. So no more blank pets option. I'm not sure what you mean, Jack. Um, could you elaborate on that question? Gray pets. Oh, um, you could. You could add gray pets if you wanted to. Um, uh, but because they're gray, they typically won't. I mean, they'll show up in searches, but if you did a search of base group as battle pets, it's not, or at least when I did the group, it won't uh, display them because to TSM's thinking, they're gray trash and they need to be sold. So yes, you could add the gray battle pets to groups, and sure, why not? In which case, you're competing literally with the gray pets if gray pets exist in the action house. So you could. I have chosen not to because nobody buys gray pets. I mean, you see them listed, but nobody buys them, right? So that's just my personal choice. You could, absolutely, you could. And if you were after battle pets with the specific health or power or strength or whatever it is, um, then you would want to add by specific item instead of by item level, because then you would still end up with the level 25 and the level 2 and the blah blah blah, but then they would also be added to groups based on /H/P/S. So if that was something that mattered to you, it doesn't matter to me at all. I don't care. But if somebody is a battle pet aficionado, then you probably want to add battle pets by specific item to get, like, if you had like a level 25 Abyssius that was /P, you might want to have something, or a level 25 Abyssius /S, right? In which case, if you wanted that, then you would add by specific item. Wait a sec. Why did the bot time out Jack for a second? Oh, links. Will it? I might be able to do that. Give me a sec. I might be able to. Link protection. Yeah, so that's the command. See, I'm learning here. I don't have all of the command stuff memorized yet. Permit. Jack the Dipper. Hopefully that... There we go. It did work. Woohoo! Okay, so going on further here, that's how, battle pets. Here was my project that I've been working on for the last few weeks. I finally finished it yesterday, Jack. I finally finished it. I'll take a look at that screenshot in a second, that image. These are all the non-crafted bind on equip items. Broken up by expansion, by quality, by type, if they were sold by vendors or not sold by vendors, and by slot, and they're all added to groups by item level. this was an insanely long project. But yes, I got them all done. From vanilla all the way down to Shadowlands. Like that. So I can't give this group to my Patreon users because most of them are still using TSM 4.10. And if they import this, there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of variants that suddenly will not be in groups because they do not have an item level toggle. When 4.11 comes out, then by all means, I will give this to Patreons. In the meantime, there are 4.10 versions on my Patreon. So that's my Patreon. Let's check out this image here, Jack. Okay, so what you're seeing here, pets level 0, and you've got all the trash pets there. And then, oh, surprising palatable feast, sold for 550 gold. Nice. Level 25 pets, and then TCG pets. Yeah, so that's not necessary anymore, as I've just shown. You might still want to find the TCG pets simply because they're, removed and rare. So you might want to have like a child group there. By all means, that makes perfect sense. And the same thing with mounts and other things like that, where, yeah, you might want a child group for that. I probably will do that. Find those and put them in a child group. But yeah, it's yeah. The short of it is, it's not necessary anymore. And speaking of my Patreon, I'm probably going to change the pricing on it come August. I'm going to obviously give fair warning, excuse me, to my existing Patreons. And I'm going to probably put up a poll for them later today or tomorrow. Right now, all of my Patreon is available for $1 a month minimum. But if this BOE group is any indication, which literally, and I do mean literally, took me dozens and dozens and dozens of hours, and then I have to repeat that process again with professions, all of the professions, I'm probably going to have my 4.11 groups be a little bit more on my Patreon. I haven't fully decided, but that's more than probable. I haven't figured out the particulars yet, but given that just the BOE group alone, I probably put in 100 plus hours, easy, just on that one group alone. And then I have to do it again with professions. Yeah, $1 a month. Suddenly, that's a steal. So if you're after my stuff, you don't have to get it. This is not a go get it now. I'm not trying to twist anybody's arm, but if it is interesting to you guys, I would snag it now. Just saying, because I'm probably changing it. All right, so Jack, I I would love to show you some more TSM stuff. Like I said, I can't on any of the characters that I have. None of them qualify, but I can theory craft or theory show something for you. Obviously, it isn't going to work because I don't have the professions of the recipes. But as we discovered today on Samadan's stream, and this was actually a couple of days ago in the 4.10 alpha. Let's say you do have recipes that can benefit from relics of the past, crafter's mark, those kind of things. Let's say, I don't know, hypothetically, we'll pretend this potion of empowered exorcisms could benefit from the relics and the marks. Okay. Now, if you added the profession items to groups via item level or specific item, so not as base item, then you, and this is recent, this is only in the last couple of days, but TSM 4.11 will now go and say, oh, so you're trying to make 168, 176, and 187 item level versions of those pieces of gear, right? And to do that, you need such and such number of marks, and you need marks of a certain rank. So what you could do is either just manually start queuing, or go into your groups when you restock, select that group, restock. TSM 4.11 in the last day or two will now figure out that you need those relics and those marks, add them to your gathering queue as well, so you can get the materials for the marks and the crafts, or marks and crafters marks and relics, which you know what I mean, and then build those and then add them to the item all in one queue. All in one queue. So when you mouse over, Samadan was showing that if you, I don't know, I'll clear the queue later because I'm not going to make these. But let's pretend that all three of these, because they're all different items, that they would be different. I mean, like, even if they're the same item, but they're different item levels, they could be different. They can be the same, but different item levels, just so long as you are making, leather bracers or mail chest or whatever it is that you're doing that requires relics or marks. If you mouse over, the tooltip now says item level blah, crafter's mark 2. If you mouse over this one, it says item level blah, relic 1. And it just works. It just starts processing now. Which is a hell of a lot faster than popping back to the base UI, making your marks and your relics, and then adding your thing and blah, blah, blah. So finally, after a patch a day or two ago, TSM 4.11 We can honestly say now it is faster and smoother to use it instead of the base UI when you're making items that require marks and relics. Yeah, so the miner, were you on Samadan's stream, miner? Some big news today. Samadan had missed the patch notes. That actually, it's actually a couple of days old now, and it was somebody else in the stream that mentioned it, and then Samadan tried it. Oh, oh, and there are singing angels. Yeah, Manthias. Yeah. Yep. Let the Angels Sing TSM is once again better than the base UI when dealing with those items. That is now officially a thing.
Have anything ancient to trade?
And I know I sold some feasts and some aspects. Another almost 5,000 gold.
Exotic, bring it.
I haven't collected my mail yet. Since I started streaming a week ago, I've been doing the daily mailbox instead of collecting as I go along. Obviously, the amount of gold that I just showed you is not going to make or break the the bank. Like I'm not getting rich. Although obviously everything I sold is for a profit, even after cancels and relists. It just happens to be Sunday, and Sunday's a terrible day on this realm. And over 3 hours, I'm gonna reload my UI. I'm gonna do a vendor search here. Yeah, so the miner, you were there for that on Samadan's stream. That is amazing, isn't it? That now you can either queue directly from the crafting UI or restock, i.e. TSM 4.11 is now using crafting operations for those items. Drag items from groups. I want to say yes, if I understand the question correctly. But again, what do you mean there, Jack?
Have anything ancient to trade? Needs to be at least 2
Yeah,
centuries.
an hour and 7 minutes. That's much more reasonable. Let's run a vendor search. Yeah, Jack. So while you're answering that, you probably saw that image that I posted up. I think on Dirty Irby's Discord, and I think Samadan showed it on stream. It's in the Snipes Flips sales channel. I mean, you'd probably have to scroll back a couple of days. 2 or 3 days ago, I did a vendor search in TSM, and I bought 10 arboreal shards for a total of 300 gold. So 30 gold each. Oh yeah.
If you find anything
What just
exotic,
sold?
bring it to me.
More aspects. It's always nice. So I didn't resell them. I could have back to the vendor for an instant profit, but obviously I'm gonna need the arboreal shards later. But here you go, arboreal shards. I really shouldn't show you the player, but yeah, buy 10 of them 30 gold each, 300. 3 days, half an hour ago. Okay, so Jack was following up my question about the drag items from one group to another. You select them and hit Shift. I said. Oh, okay. So before I answer that, Jack's following is, well, if you're gonna brag, Jack the Dipper once bought a spectral tiger cub for 768 gold. Yeah, that's a hell of a deal. Yes, absolutely. So I think I know what you mean. If picking any group, so you have some options. So select or deselect all. If you hold down right, or if you do this, right, you select one by one. But if you hold down the right mouse button and drag, and then release the mouse button, while the mouse button is held, you select all the ones. Is that what you meant, Jack? Okay, that's not what you meant. Oops. Oh. Yes. I don't want to mess up any groups. I think actually I do know what you mean. Wow, I need to finish that group. Holy smokes. Okay. Let's go unavailable. So greater arcane elixir. If I drag this, is this what you mean? Like this? That you can change groups like this? Because I'm holding down the left mouse button and I'm dragging this recipe, and I can now add it to any group. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. And you can do it with multiple items too. So if you selected all of these, you see multiple items 6. So you don't have to do it one by one. That's what you meant? Yeah, that's such a time time saver. That's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's about time to run a cancel scan. What do you think, guys? I mean, it's Sunday. I am not going to get massive sales today, no matter what I do, no matter what I make. I mean, I've already made enough to make my day worthwhile in terms of a day. My target minimum on average is somewhere between 10 and 15. We'll say call it 12,000 gold in a day. So some days I've sold 80 or 90,000 gold of potions and food. Usually Tuesday right before raid days. It makes up all the difference. But my minimum, if I'm logging in for the day, my minimum is 10 to 15,000 gold a day. If I'm not hitting that, and that, by the way, that's profit. That's 10 to 15,000 gold profit. I obviously have not hit that today. I've hit that in raw gold, but only some of that is going to be profit. But it's Sunday. and I know Sunday is the pits. It's a horrible day to do anything with cooking and alchemy. Um, I'll find out when I get my alts up there whether or not some of the other trade skills are more worthwhile on Sundays. But certainly cooking and alchemy, yeah, I turn a profit because I always turn a profit. I never do anything unless it turns me a profit. But Sundays, I'd be lucky to get somewhere between 2 and 5,000 gold actual profit on a day on Sunday. It is what it is. If I played a different server, maybe, maybe low pop, maybe a roleplay server, whatever, I might move more stuff, but I'm not on those servers, and that's shooting wildly in the dark. I don't know. I will take what I will happily sell. So, Kambi-sama is telling Jack the Dipper that tiger cub that he bought for 768 gold was made of cheese. Take that, Jack. And Jack's responding with a cheese emoji, which I didn't know was a thing, but really doesn't surprise me. There's emojis for everything. Anything with cheese is fine by Jack the Dipper. Yep.
If you find anything exotic,
Slaxus says, anyway, you can get TSM 4.11. In its current state, no. Sorry. It's in closed alpha testing. So it was by invite only. Obviously, the devs, because it's their project, the MVGs, or it's essentially the moderators of the WoW Academy Discord, got access to it. And then a very select number of other people who definitely could put it through its paces and really test it and really push it. And I do mean very few. I think maybe 2 or 3 non-moderators got access to it. If, because I don't know, but if the TSM devs decide to do a beta release of 4.11, anyone with TSM Premium will get the next crack at the bat. It's one of the perks of having TSM Premium. That assumes the devs decide to do a beta version. They're not telling me. I mean, I'm a moderator, and I honestly don't know. They have not told. Mum's the word. They're keeping it very close to the vest there. But if beta does happen, that's one of the perks of being premium. If it does not, then you gotta wait for the release version. So Kambi-sama says, the smellier the better. Still talking about cheese for Jack the Dipper. And Jack the Dipper is saying, ask Gumdrops, who is, of course, an administrator over on the TSM TradeSkillMaster team. Ask Gumdrops with puppy eyes. I don't know how Gumdrops responds to the puppies. I've never asked him. Kambi-sama says, my invitation got lost in the mail! And follows that up with, yay, I'm a premium member. Yeah, it's one of the perks. A lot of people actually are a little confused about what TSM Premium gives you. All right, so this is what I know to be true. One, obviously, you're supporting the TSM team, the ones that are actually paid, and there are very few of them. And aside from Gumdrops, Sapu, Reisky, and Muffins, I know they recently hired somebody else to work on their back end, but I don't know who that other is. So it's a very small team. There might be one or two other people. I don't work for them. I don't know who is actually paid for their team. I just know that it's very, very small. So some of them get a paycheck. Um, it when you have premium, it also literally pays for the lights, the electricity, the TSM servers that give us data like market value and region sale rate and all that stuff, um, and feeds that to the TSM app and things like that. Uh, on retail WoW, it allows you to shortcut the web import for the Great Deals shopping search, which has not actually changed, but for those of you who are not sure, under the Browse tab, you'll see this Great Deals search. If I search for this, because I have TSM Premium, it's going to find these. That does not mean that these items are actually great deals. What it just simply means is, as you can see, this antiseptic soaked dressing normally sells for about 660 gold. It's current, or I don't know what sells, but lists in the auction house on this server for 660 gold. There is one for 95 gold, or 14% of what it should be. Would somebody actually buy that? Meaning, is it actually a great deal? It's up to you. I wouldn't, because I already have the appearance, so it doesn't do me any good. And the Fell Slate Anchor, it's worth 25 silver right now. It normally goes for a gold and a half. So, and a change, so 16%. Again, I'm not sure if Fell Slate Anchor is a great deal. So you have to use your judgment. But if you do not have TSM Premium, you can import that Great Deal shopping search from the website and paste it right here in Search the Auction House. So basically, it's giving you access to the data built in. So that's the second perk. The third perk, as I mentioned, is anytime the TSM devs release a beta version of TSM, then premium users get first crack at the beta version, if a beta version exists. Let's see. On the WoW Economy Discord, you get a fancy nameplate or like border and stuff like that, and along with access to an exclusive chat channel where premium users can talk amongst themselves. Let's see, what else? I know there's a couple of other things as well that right now are kind of escaping me. So the point is that, yeah, there are perks. You're not just supporting the TSM team for the sake of supporting TSM, but you can imagine that's the go-to answer, because if the lights turn off or the servers don't run, there's no TradeSkillMaster. It just stops, right? So even if the dev team decide that they are not making enough money to pay themselves and they work for free, well, things like computer hardware, like server hardware and electricity and blah, 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 that they all still cost money. So the go-to answer is you're supporting the team. You do get some more stuff. That's not the end of the story. All right, guys. What do you got for me? A couple of more questions, and then I think we're going to wind this one down. Been at it for 3-ish hours. It's usually a good long stream. There is quite a lot to cover at the beginning of the stream. If you want to re-watch how I do crafting operations and make it profitable, by all means. Rewatch the whole thing if you want to, but there's definitely a deeper dive and a sneak peek into how I do auctioning. And then, of course, please, if you haven't already, follow me, favorite me here on Twitch, find me on YouTube. I haven't put in the social for Twitter. If I do, let's see if I can. If I did actually, is that actually a command? No, of course it is not. Yep. Okay, I'll put that in later, but typically, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. I don't actually enjoy Twitter. If you really want to find it, you can find it. It should be labeled either on Twitch.tv or on YouTube. And you can find me there. And then, like I mentioned half an hour-ish ago, right now my TSM 4.10 stuff is available super cheap on my Patreon, but just being honest, I'm probably going to change the price because what I'm doing is just it's taking hundreds of hours at this point. And I'm just going to quickly relink the main links there, one of which to my Patreon, the other ones to my YouTube channel. Hopefully in the next couple of days, I'm going to, on YouTube anyway, I'm going to quickly cover the crafting and auctioning operations, how I do things. So a video specifically about those. And then, obviously in the meantime, work on alts to try and unlock some recipes that really show off TSM 4.11. That's kind of the goal. And then, of course, if you are a crafting goblin and that's your shtick, then definitely check out that Reddit link that I threw in chat, because that's, I mean, it's not official TSM documentation, uh, but it's after years of research, figuring out kind of the best way to do things. Um, there are other ways. I've seen some other people banter around some ideas, so there, it it's not to be taken as the be end all. That Reddit article. It's not the absolute thou shalt not or thou shalt, right? It's not intended that way. Uh, it just it works for me. It works very very well for me, and I thought I would share it. Yeah, so Jack the Dipper saying about the Reddit article, it's not an official, or he is not an official TSM person, but he gave it one-on-one coaching session. So you're saying you have used that Reddit article uh, when you have coached? Is that what you're saying, Jack? Okay, I misinterpret again. Man, that's like 3 for 3, Jack. I've totally screwed this up for you today. Okay, yeah, okay, you mean that you're not an official TSM person. Well, technically, neither am I. I mean, sure, I'm a moderator, but I'm not employed by them. I don't work for them. I'm not an official TSM person. I'm a volunteer on their Discord. Uh, that's it. I am not getting paid or anything like that. Which is why, among other things, and simply knowing that there are more than one ways to make crafting profitable, that's why I'm saying there are more than one way to make crafting profitable. There's more than one method to tackle this. Um, that Reddit article just works for me, but it's clearly not official TSM documentation. Um, and like all things, use it. If if it doesn't work for you, then stop using it. Yeah, so Jack is saying that he and I use different material price strings. And okay, that much I actually know what you're talking about. So pulling up settings, crafting, he Jack the Dipper is saying that he uses a different default cost method. Yeah. So Jack says he doesn't like to use smart average buy or average buy in here. Um, yeah. So there you go. There's a perfect example. There's a different way to do it. Absolutely. It's not wrong. Um, it would be wrong if it didn't work, but if it works, even if it's different, then use it. That's the short of it. Okay. Um, everybody who came in with the Samadan raid and stuck around, and for the other people that popped in later, oh my God, thank you. I was not expecting any of this today. Um, and unlike the Spanish Inquisition, I will take more of this. I don't really want the Spanish Inquisition. That seems bad. I don't. Yeah, no. But I wasn't expecting this, and it was wonderful. And I thank you all for stopping by. Um, yeah, even if you're not after my TSM groups and you want to support me, uh, there's the paste and Patreon links. If you want the groups and operations, you have access. Feel free to tweak those later. It's all up to you. Find me on YouTube. I threw the links in chat there as well. And stay tuned for more YouTube videos. Getting back into this, I promise. And more Reddit articles. They're coming. But I've got a lot of things on my plate, and kind of totally unrelated to World of Warcraft, but still gaming. Among other things, I am writing a Dungeons and Dragons game world, including module and stuff like that, for eventual publication, etc. So I have a lot going on. So what I'm saying is I don't know when the bits and pieces that I mentioned are coming, but we'll say within a few days or a week, you're going to see parts of these come through as I find time to work on the individual parts, whether the YouTube video or another Reddit article or even another stream or whatever. So there's more coming. I just got to fit it all together, right? It's only 24 hours in a day, right? So, like I said, thank you everybody, and I know there are lots of people in chat. Holy smokes, yeah, there are lots of you in here. I don't want to offend anybody by leaving anybody off, so I will just thank all of you. Really, thank you. Today has been awesome, and I guarantee it's all because of you guys. Stopping by, asking questions, sitting back, lurking, listening, learning, because I know this is going to get you guys thinking. And if you're not asking me, you're going to ask other gold goblins, and either way, that's good, because if you're asking questions, it means you're willing to learn, and if you're willing to learn, that means you're willing to make gold. And remember the number one rules. Learn as many recipes and as many professions, even if that means rolling alts. Never make anything unless you can turn a profit with it. And most importantly, have fun. Because if you're not having fun, there's just no point. All right, guys? May the light bless you.